The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier, and I want to welcome you to Comm-Unity Conversations on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. This show is about you. I want to hear your trials and triumphs, challenges and victories, and how you overcome obstacles every day in our dynamic industry. All callers are welcome to join Community Conversations. This is where we'll discuss all things in common. We'll discuss managers, directors, vendors, and owners. Let's elevate the conversation. Raise the bar. Start here, now. Welcome to Community Conversations with Tanoa. We had a few technical difficulties, so we are not going to have a break, but I have got the biggest treat for you based on a blog I wrote about getting off the hamster or camster wheel. For all of you who are still suffering through this Hurricane Irma power outage and drama and lack of sleep, I hit the wall today. I think my guest also hit the wall today, but we just overcome obstacles, as I said in the intro. I want to thank my sponsor, Trusted Construction, who has been amazing after the storm. You can contact Trusted for repairs, ideas, room additions, anything you can dream they can do. 561-582-5758. Okay, I'm really excited about this. My guest today is Chris Montagu. Without further ado, welcome. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Tanoa.
Hello. So I'm going to let Chris introduce himself. He's going to tell you who he is and what he does, and then I'm going to tell you how we met. Tell the listeners who you are and what you do.
Hey, so my name is Chris Montagu. My fiance Lauren Huff and I own SoFlo Music School in Delray Beach, Florida. I've been a musician most of my life. It's my number one passion, and it's what I do. And that's how I met Tanoa, actually. She's one of my guitar students.
I'm a guitar student. So I wrote a blog called Get Off the Camster Wheel. And basically what I try to encourage managers or anyone else to do, it's not to make your work the focus of your life, not to make it an idol, and to find something you're passionate about. And Chris doesn't know this, but he used to have a store on 4th Ave.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would go by that store all the time, and I was like, I had this thing tugging inside of me. I should go in. And then the store was gone, and I'm like, well, I guess I lost my opportunity. Then I started going a different way, and there was the store.
That's right. We just moved just down the street, right?
And Chris is now on 6th Avenue in Delray. He's going to give you all of his details, how to contact him toward the end of the show. So my passion was I wanted to learn to play the guitar. Can an old dog learn new tricks? What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we have students that range from 4, and one of our older students so far has been 96 years old on the ukulele.
That is amazing.
And there's plenty of musicians throughout the history of music who have started at different times. Not everybody starts as a child and spends their whole life becoming a musician.
So if you are thinking about becoming an artist, learning to play the ukulele, the piano, the guitar as I am, understand that it is not something you're going to learn overnight, and it's challenging, right? And you have to find the time.
Absolutely.
You have to make the time. And I asked Chris a question, not this past time, but the last time we had a lesson, I said, am I going to be able to get through this book by Christmas? And your answer was?
It's up to you.
Exactly. It's up to me. And here's why. Because there was this adorable 9-year-old who had all finished the book that I'm trying to get through. And he's on to the next book. I'm like, what? She's on to the next book. So I'm a very competitive streak.
The Health and Wealth Radio Network.
So tell me about the starting process when you have somebody who comes in who is over the age of 21, let's say, and has kind of had this passion hidden and they want to start, but they're completely fearful. What's the process of just starting that?
Well, so first you or whoever is going to take this leap has to commit to do it and come in and take that first lesson, which can be, for some folks, it could be nerve-wracking. There's a lot of pressure when you're an adult. You kind of have this desire to be further along than you are.
Right.
And this perception that maybe you have to, in a weird way, maybe impress the other person or something. But basically, we got to get you in, and we've got to give it a shot and try it out. You got to confirm for yourself that it's something you're really going to enjoy. And then from there, it's really up to you. You just got to keep plugging away at it.
So I expressed a desire to someone who's a friend, my friend Nancy. And I think this is something that holds you accountable. When you express a desire or a goal or a passion that has been hidden in your heart, you kind of tell somebody, and you never know who's listening. So I went, stopped by the store, and I just said, I'm thinking about taking lessons. It was a Thursday. And Chris says, well, what day is your day free? And I said, well, Thursdays. And he said,
let's do it. Come on.
Yes, today is Thursday. And I was like, oh. So we actually started that day. And I think he's right when he says sometimes people who are accomplished are not good at not doing something well.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, especially, with the younger students, they kind of just go with the flow. Maybe they want to play an instrument, but oftentimes they're just kind of, following along. But is the biggest thing I see with the adult students is you get a lot of self-put downs. Oh, I didn't do it well enough. I should be done this. I should be over here. I should already be able to. And then you always get the question, how long until I can, know, and there are no answers to those questions.
Right. How long until I can play Carnegie Hall?
That's
well,
right.
Maybe never, but you have to put in the work. And the other thing that happens is that people say, well, I haven't practiced, so, right?
Yeah, you battle a couple things. You get the nervousness to come back to the next lesson if they feel they haven't put in enough time to maybe impress the teacher or show the progress that they've made in between. And so whenever I get that question, the answer is always the same. Of course, come in for your lesson. This is your scheduled, dedicated time where you're going to get focused, good practice, and you're going to work on the instrument. The other thing that happens, though, with home practice time is people feel a lot of guilt in a way. You can really put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you can feel upset if you haven't practiced enough. And what I try to reiterate to folks of all ages is that this is for your enjoyment.
Right.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you practiced a ton this week, you practiced a little. All that matters is that you're enjoying it and that you keep going.
That's so important to remember. And then you also gave me an analogy for maybe a fitness analogy, which was really helpful. Would you tell the listeners that analogy?
Absolutely. So I recently joined the gym. That's my new little activity for myself as a business owner and trying to do something. And what I've noticed is the similarities between personal trainers and music teachers, right? So people often say, I didn't practice this week. Should I come into my lesson? And we were talking about this the other day. And what if you called your personal trainer and you said, hey, personal trainer, I didn't have a good diet this week. Should I skip my personal training session? Of course, he's going to answer, no, you need to come in and keep going.
Right.
And that is the number one key. It takes a lot of time. It takes consistency. And you have to be happy with what you're doing and what you're accomplishing and not put that overwhelming pressure on yourself to do something beyond your level.
Or that you are. I'm a business owner. Chris is a business owner. You have a finite amount of time, particularly when, as a property manager, with a pending storm, all my focus is preparing my properties for the storm. So I had very little time. Then I had no power, so it was very challenging. But also, he encourages me to show up, and if that's the only practice time I have, is to show up and practice, no matter how embarrassing that is.
Of course.
Yes.
And practicing together is fine. That's another thing people have to overcome in music. And we actually talked about this in the last lesson is the necessity for repetition. So for whatever it's worth, people can kind of feel pressure to have to repeat the same thing and almost feel like, oh, I'm not doing it well enough, so we're repeating this.
Right.
But if you really check it out, any, I think, real or accomplished musician will tell you that it's a result of doing the same thing over and over again. The best bands in the world rehearse the same things over and over and over again.
And that is so important to remember. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be scared. This is about you and your enjoyment and following your passion. And everybody has to find something, as Chris does, going to the gym. For me, it's learning the guitar. And I actually bought a guitar of my own. Her name is Rosa, and she's very beautiful.
Yes.
And maybe someday we will play together, because I'm hoping that Chris will come back. But on his website, you're going to see that there are people from, 9 to 69, I think, on there and older, right? He said he even has somebody in their 90s.
We had a 96-year-old.
96
name's
years
Joe.
old.
plays ukulele.
That's incredible. So it's not too late for you. So I need you guys to learn to swim, paddleboard, take art, take up yoga, do something other than continuing to just let the work absorb your life and your time, because, you're going to cheat yourself and cheat your family. The other thing that is that I find is there's for me, a soulful or a spiritual component. So what Chris tells me is the music is there. Mm-hmm. We just have to connect to it, right?
That's exactly it. And and it could be music or anything, but I think if you try to move to something other than, like you're talking about, just your day-to-day, any hobby you would take on,
right.
But music's especially spiritual.
Yes.
But what you're going to do is tap into a different creativity that you're not using all the time. And I think it's beneficial across your whole life for sure.
It has actually changed my life in small ways that I'm discovering all the time. And I learned a song and I played the chords because I'm learning chords, and he plays the rhythm, but we played a song together, and it was almost like a conversation we had without words and with just music. And I was taken aback at that little experience, just that one time. That kind of epiphany happens probably frequently for your students.
All the time. I think there's some, now I don't have the full scientific explanation here, but it is true that human beings, when performing music, sync up in a way different than almost anything else. And you would see this in dance and music, but it's one of the only ways that we become actually in sync together. So for that, it's very cool.
It's incredible. The other thing is, and I led him in on this, is that there was a song that I was struggling with that many students get to this place and students are motivated in different ways. I'm very competitive. So he said, not knowing me that well at the time, yeah, everybody struggles with that. And inside I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to be everybody. So I just doubled down on it. I may have surprised him when I was able to play it, and then he gave me a check mark, which means that I got it, and I went to my car and I burst into tears.
And like I said, I add you to the list of but you're on the good tears list,
crying, because it's that place where your passion or your dream actually meets the reality, and I've had the benefit of having that experience more than once. So if you are listening or you are watching and you are thinking, maybe, should I? Yes, you should. And Chris, I want you to tell people how they can find you in South Florida, your contact information, your address, and your website.
Absolutely. So you can find us anywhere online you want to search SoFlo, SOFLO Music School. We're in East Delray Beach on 6th Avenue. 6th Avenue is, however, Federal Highway in Delray. So if you're familiar with Delray, that's northbound Federal Highway. Our website, SoFloMusicSchool.com. Our phone number is 561-674-1151. So give us a call when you're ready to start it up or give it a try.
And if you are watching on Facebook on the Community Conversations with Tanoa page, there's a banner with his information, the website there. So you can actually go there, and I was there, and you actually do some newsletters, and there's some information. And I also want to let the listeners know that you can actually catch him playing live tonight. Where?
I'll be performing at Boston's on the Beach in Delray.
Boston's on the Beach is a very famous, been there forever, fun music, particularly Friday nights, great food, great energy, right on A1A, which is the kind of Ocean Boulevard. And that set starts at what time?
8:30.
8:30. So it's a little for the early birds. You can get there, have a meal, and listen. And is it reggae?
Yeah, we'll be doing a lot of reggae tonight.
Yeah. So if you want to just check them out before you sign up for your class, and I hope you do, go to Boston's on the Beach tonight and listen to him. And you've got a couple of more gigs. Are they local?
We're always playing somewhere. Yeah.
So you can do it. Is that information on your website?
That would be on my band's website, which is articlesoundsystem.com. And most of our teachers at the school are also gigging musicians. So it wouldn't be too uncommon to catch a lot of our teachers around town, and they play in some of the top bands, which is very cool. And that's another unique thing I think about our studio. We have a pretty vibrant community that's very connected with the local music scene.
the school is local. It is sort of East Del Rey. It's accessible, but the vibe in there is not at all stuffy. It's welcoming. It's they don't make you feel alienated. You don't feel like now there are going to be some little kids there. I just want you to know, and that's okay. But every time I show up there, there's a smile on everyone's face, and I really feel welcome. And even if I haven't practiced, I don't worry about it because he's teaching me to not worry about what I sound like, how fast I'm progressing, that everybody goes at their own pace, and this is about having fun and enjoying life. Do you think that's pretty good?
Well, I
right?
feel that makes me feel so good. That was such a nice description of our school. And you know what? It reminds me of another important thing about this process that people could consider taking on, and that is that if you're doing a private lesson in anything with somebody, you're naturally going to have some sort of connection with that person, or it's not going to be enjoyable.
It's true.
Now, we have tons of amazing teachers at our school, but the truth is not everybody is compatible with one another. And so you gotta be careful too not to quit a hobby just because maybe you don't click with the first person that you try to lesson with.
That's a good point. Now, Chris went on vacation and he tried to pawn me off on another teacher, and I'm not cheating on Chris. Actually, it didn't work out for lots of reasons because my work is busy and I wasn't able to connect. But I grew up in Colorado, so I am a country music girl, and I kind of like that kind of music. His forte is reggae, but he is teaching me to appreciate the music I like in a way that's slower pace, that I can play with small goals. You know, it's kind of like the book I wrote. It's small morsels that you can eat a little bit at a time and have some success, and then you accomplish one thing, and then you move on to the next, and you actually feel like you're getting there. I've completed, 6 or 7 pages.
I know, we're doing it. You're learning chords, and I think that's the goal of every teacher we have at the shop, and hopefully of any music teacher anywhere. But we have to move incrementally. You have to feel like you're achieving and making success in the progress, but you also have to have patience with yourself because as you're learning, it's not easy, but it is doable.
Oh, it's not easy, but it is worth it. So the thing I want to communicate to you is don't give up, because I fear regret more than failure. It's personally. But if you have been putting off something that you've wanted to do all of this time, and then you pick it up, you buy the instrument, you buy the art supplies, you take the classes, you sign up and pay for it, but you don't see it through, looks like we may be experiencing some more technical difficulties. We're in Florida and we just got through a storm, so bear with us. I don't want you to give up. So I'm encouraging you to try, and I'm just going to check with the sound booth to see how we're doing. How are we doing? Okay. Looks like we're doing okay. So we're still here. Yes. So, as in the intro, overcoming obstacles and staying frosty, which is be cool, through situations, particularly what we've experienced this past week, is you just have to go with the flow. And so Chris has been very kind and very gracious through this kind of power outage we had at the beginning. And I find that consistency in his character through all of the experiences I have with him, and I really appreciate it. And I'm not trading you for another instructor. So
that made me get teared up in here.
Not happening. I mean it. Yeah, he's been a pleasure, and I'm actually really very happy that he agreed to come and talk to you today. Not just about my passion. This is really about yours. And then if you could just, kind of sum up your experience with adult students, encouraging them to try and stick with it. What would be the, 1 or 2 things that you could say will help them stick with it?
The number one thing is don't wait. And as we were talking about it, it reminded me of something with your situation too. Don't wait to get an instrument either. Don't sit around and Google all day and freak out about what guitar you're going to get, or do I have to have a piano?
Right.
I don't want to air you out too much, but Tanoa didn't start with the greatest guitar in the world, but she came in and wanted to try it. I did. And as a matter of fact, you don't need to have an instrument at all to come in and try taking music lessons just to find out if it's the right thing for you. So that's the number one thing, is don't hesitate. If you think it's something you want to do, go for it.
True.
And then if you find even the tiniest shred of interest.
When you were a kid, remember recess, remember art, remember gym, all of the things that you did before somebody said, no, our family doesn't do that, or nobody in our family's done that before, or that's not for you because you're a girl, because you're a boy. Remember what that was, what that felt like when you were excited and you were telling your friends and family about it before someone said you can't do it. I want you to reach back into your memory bank, find your passion, don't wait another day, and get off of that hamster wheel. I'm so excited that you decided to join me. Will you come back?
I would love to. I'm honored to be here, Tanoa. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy you
really
came.
enjoyed myself.
So remind the folks how they can find you.
You can give us a call, 561-674-1151. Visit our website, soflowmusicschool.com, or if you get confused, just Google it. You'll find us.
Yes. So it's SOFLO.
That's right.
Music School, and it's right here in South Florida. Thank you for joining me. If you're still struggling, hang in there. The storm has been a real challenge, but we're overcoming obstacles. Be a blessing to somebody today. Thanks again to my sponsor, Trusted Construction. You can call them at 561-582-5758. Until next time, thanks again. Bye.